There are moments in wrestling that transcend spectacle, that break the mold, that challenge expectations. And for Cain A. Knight, a dedicated analyst, a hardcore number cruncher, and a voice of the wrestling community since 2014, those moments aren't just thrilling, they're measurable, traceable, impactful. Cain has spent years dissecting matches, reading between the ropes, and understanding the nuance in what fans cheer, what they boo, and what they remember. His connection to wrestling dates back to the 1980s. He's watched the sport evolve, watched giants fall and legends rise. So when a match like Gunther vs. Goldberg happens, it's more than just another line on a card. It's a statistical anomaly. It's a narrative swerve. It's a legacy check. For the past year, Gunther had been poking the bear. Publicly, humorously, he kept making comments about Bill Goldberg, jabbing at the Hall of Famer's reputation for short matches. A reputation that was, let's face it, well earned. Goldberg built a career around lightning-quick destruction. A spear, a jackhammer, a pin, 3 minutes or less. That was the Goldberg way. And fans, analysts, even Cain, knew it. So when word spread that Goldberg would have his final WWE match against Gunther, expectations were tempered. The crowd didn't expect a war. They expected a flash. But what happened was something else entirely. Something that rewrote the assumptions and gave even the most seasoned number crunchers something new to chew on. At Saturday night's main event earlier this month, Goldberg laced up his boots one final time. He stood across from Gunther, the Intercontinental Wrecking Ball, the ring general, the man known for marathon matches and unrelenting offense. And instead of 3 minutes, they gave us over 14. Yes, 14. One of the longest matches in Goldberg's storied career. And it wasn't just long, it was good. Gunther spoke afterward in an interview with Radio Times, explaining why it had to be this way. Why they couldn't just phone it in. He didn't want it to be a parody of Goldberg. He didn't want to mock the legend. He wanted to honor him. Because, as Gunther explained, this was the end of an era. The last stand of a warrior who once electrified crowds with sheer intensity. If it ended in 3 minutes, it would have just been another meme. Another punchline. Instead, they built something. They constructed a match that mattered. A match that reminded fans why Goldberg was special in the first place. It wasn't flawless. It didn't need to be. What it needed to be, what it was respectful. Competitive. Memorable. Gunther carried the load where needed. He paced the rhythm. He sold the pain. He adapted. Goldberg, for his part, rose to the occasion. He pushed himself beyond what the fans expected. Yes, he was 58. Yes, he was slower. Less explosive. But the fire, it was still there. That signature snarl. That primal energy. The crowd fed off of it. And when the match crossed the 10-minute mark, you could feel the atmosphere change. No longer were fans waiting for the inevitable finish. They were watching a story unfold. A new chapter in Goldberg's legacy. A new highlight in Gunther's growing legend. Cain A. Knight took note of all of it. The match length, the pacing, the reaction, the reversal of expectations. He knew what it meant, not just to the numbers, but to the culture. Because in wrestling, context matters. And this wasn't just a long match. It was a deliberate statement. A reminder that even a man known for blitzing opponents could still go the distance. And that Gunther, he wasn't just a new star. He was a ring general who respected what came before. The fans saw it. The veterans saw it. The locker room saw it. There was no squash. There was no mockery. There was only wrestling. Real, gritty, emotional wrestling. When the final bell rang, the crowd stood. Not because they were shocked it was over. But because they were proud it happened. And Goldberg, for once, didn't vanish in an instant. He lingered. He soaked it in. He stood beside Gunther not as a victim of time, but as a symbol of what wrestling can be when two eras meet in the middle. Cain A. Knight will have the stats. He'll have the charts. He'll have the numbers. But what those numbers won't fully capture is the feeling, the appreciation, the poetry in that final match. Sometimes wrestling is about big pops and fast finishes. But sometimes it's about taking 14 minutes to show the world that legacy doesn't always come fast. Sometimes it's built, brick by brick, bell to bell. And sometimes, a goodbye deserves more than 3 minutes.